Hi, I'm Adam Mam here from Metropole Property Strategists, and in this series of short 3-minute videos, Michael Yardney and I discuss the most common mistakes we've seen investors make. Because the more you know about these mistakes, the better your likelihood of building lasting wealth. Today we discuss why it's not a good idea to only invest in your backyard and why it's important to get out of your comfort zone when choosing an investment area. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, Ahmed.
Michael, I was hoping you can provide your thoughts on this topic.
Sure. Well, look, most investors start buying in their backyard, in their comfort zone, where they live or where they want to retire or where they want to holiday. These are all emotional reasons. To be honest, Ahmed, that's exactly what I did. I bought my first property in Caulfield, and it was right near where I went to school. It was 2 streets away from where I went to school. It was where my mother went shopping. It's where I knew, but I lucked out. And some people have done that recently in Sydney and in Melbourne, in the big capital cities, where every property went up in value. A rising tide lifts all ships. But in general, that's not a good idea. And I know some people who are going to be watching this video aren't living in one of those big capital cities or in the best locations. So most people do that, though, I think, Ahmed, because they think they know the property market because they live there. Knowing your local neighbourhood is not the same as understanding the property markets or how property investment works. Look at all those investors who bought in Perth. I know you and I are seeing people who've bought in 4 years in a row now. The value of their properties have kept going down, even though they're lovely houses and they're affordable. At the moment, there are over 300,000 properties on the market, but in my mind, less than 5% of those are what I'd be calling investment grade. Look, if you live in the right suburb, in the right capital cities, by all means, become a local expert. But if not, my suggestion is you hire somebody to become your local expert on the ground. So be careful who you hire. Not an enthusiastic amateur. There's lots of new people becoming buyer's agents saying, I can help you. Get a local area expert, not one that flies in, flies out and makes an offer. We're seeing that all the time, aren't we, Ahmed? That all these new people are coming in to try and help investors, but they actually don't have the perspective that people like our team on the ground have who've been in property for so long.
Perspective is important, Michael, and another important factor is being able to be completely void of any emotion. You know, these decisions have to be made with numbers, essentially. And that's a mistake that a lot of investors make. They make these decisions with emotion. And others invest in their backyard because they want to do it themselves and they don't want to give up any control. Do you find that as well, Michael?
Sure. Look, I think it's arrogant to think that you can develop the same level of expertise as a professional buyer's agent who's acquired hundreds of property purchases. Sure, it comes at a cost, but the mistakes are coming at a much bigger cost. And of course you can research on the internet, but there's one thing you can't gain. You can't gain perspective, you can't gain experience, you can't understand why one side of the street is better than the other, or one. Look, you know, in your own neighbourhood, there's areas you'd live in and areas you wouldn't. So I'm not saying don't invest in your backyard. I'm saying don't only invest in your backyard and become a borderless investor and consider investing in the big capital cities where the action is, Ahmed.
That's right. You have to invest wherever the highest and best use of your funds is. And just on that, Michael, if you plan to invest in other states, should you be checking out the property yourself or rely on the local experts?
Well, I think you should never buy sight unseen. There's some people who say buy sight unseen and take the emotion out. Wrong. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to fly up, but you should get a local area expert. So not the buyer's agent from Melbourne who flies into Brisbane or Adelaide or other places and thinks they know the market. They don't have the on-the-ground knowledge. Because look, in Sydney, you know it yourself, one side of the street has magnificent views of the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the river and the water, and the other side of the street has magnificent views of the house that has good views of the Sydney Harbour and the river and the water, and there's a 30% difference in price. Now that's an obvious one, but there are a lot of other examples of on-the-ground knowledge making it so important. And that's worth paying for because you're going to pay a fee to get in the market. You're either going to pay a learning fee to the market from the mistakes, or you're going to pay somebody to help you get to the next level, Ahmed.
That's right. And thank you for that insight, Michael. Continue to join us for this series of short videos where we're discussing the common mistakes investors make. Again, thank you, Michael Yardney.
My pleasure.